And several months of me being into maximum security remand, I was going to court one day, and the police department that were prosecuting my case, Tempe Police, one of them came to the cell door and said, "Is Attwood in this cell? Attwood's a snitch, Attwood's working for us." Knowing all the prisoners would overhear that, just completely made this up to try and get me killed. Because snitches are as hated as child molesters. So I told my lawyer, I said, "Here's what happened." And he told the prosecutor. And the prosecutor said there would be an investigation, those police officers would be pulled out, and I'd have to go to a lineup and all this stuff, but nothing happened. But then I got locked down for my own protection in solitary confinement for like what you just asked. There was a lot of high profile cases up there.
And does it have an effect on you?
Solitary confinement, because I was big into reading and writing, I didn't mind it. Didn't mind it at all. No. But I'm told long term, you know, if you're in there for years and years and years, you would go funny in the head, and it happens to a lot of prisoners. You know, I only got a taste of it. I was in there for less than a year in the remand jail, and I was in super maximum security for 3 or 4 months. So I only got a taste of it, but I'm sure 5 or 10 years, you know, I probably would have gone insane. Yeah. Okay, next question. Yep.
How long did it take for them to decide to place you in solitary confinement after they lied that you were a snitch?
After the police lied that I was a snitch, when I went back to my building, the guard came out and said, "You're not allowed to go back in there." And that's because I'd reported it to the prosecutor and that everyone had been informed. So it was right away.
No.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Did people ever pick on you because you were like an Englishman in the States?
The Americans loved English,
Yeah.
and that was like a really good thing for me. They would come up to me in the prison and ask me if I knew the Spice Girls, if I knew the Queen, if I knew the Beatles. My sister went to dance school with Sporty Spice, so I had that in my favour. You know, and they'd say, "You're a goddamn limey cousin from across the pond," and all this kind of stuff. And believe it or not, on more than one occasion, prisoners and guards asked me, "What language do they speak in England?"
Oh my God.
Yeah. I had to explain the history of the English language. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, next question, yeah.
What did your parents and family, how did they react when you told them about it?
You know, one of my biggest fears was my parents finding out about my involvement in dealing ecstasy. And it was some of the lowest moments of my life was when they were finding out, because my mum ended up having a nervous breakdown. A newspaper did a sensationalist story about me. English Shaun's Evil Empire, it was 10 pages long. They portrayed me to be a cross between Walter White and a vampire. Yeah, everything I'd done in 10 times. My mum read it, and she was a college teacher, and she went to college after reading it. And she went up to some students yelling, "I know you read the article, I know you know what's going on." Didn't have a clue what she was on about. My dad had to get her from the school, and she's been on off medication to this day. And you know, I try and spend as much time with my family now up in the northwest, and I can still see the hurt and pain on their faces from the stress that I've caused them. And I can't change my past, but I'm hoping to restore myself in their eyes, you know, by sharing my story with doing all these talks across the UK with young people in the hope that they won't make my mistakes. My sister had to have counselling. My dad, you know, he's really strong, but I see that stress in his face. You know, it makes me sick to my stomach. Just wish I could take that away. People said, "Shaun, you've lived this wild and crazy life. Is there anything you would change?" 2 things I want to change is I want to take that pain off my parents' face. Another thing is I saw the harm that drug dealing causes in the jail, because, you know, the road of drug use is a very long one. I started out here as a student thinking it's fun and it's cool, but every time you do drugs, the pain goes down a little bit. The pain goes up a little bit and the pleasure goes down a little bit. And it happens very slowly. But what happens is over time, the pain rises above the pleasure, but the addiction has a hold of you by then, you can't stop. Now I only realised this because these guys in the jail, all their day revolved around 90% of them were shooting up heroin and crystal meth. They were dying from hepatitis C, yellow jaundice skin, teeth rotting out, and they couldn't stop doing the drugs, even though they knew it was killing them. And I thought, you know, I put people on that road of drug use. I can't change my past, but I can just go out and hopefully restore my karma by doing these talks. So, right, next question, please. Yes?
What was the most aggressive thing that you witnessed whilst in prison?
Oh my goodness, saw people getting murdered was the most aggressive thing. You saw it in my Banged Up Abroad episode early on when I went in. The gang, first of all, they checked out what my charges were. Drug crimes are acceptable. Some crimes are kill on sight, like paedophile stuff. Once you get through that, you know, they explain all the gang rules to you then and stuff like that, all the stuff that can get you smashed by the gang. You know, you must take a shower, it's bad hygiene. Can't go making friends with the guards, it's snitching. Can't go sitting at tables with the other races. You know, there's all this stuff. And early on, after I got charge checked and I was accepted, next day I woke up and there's that guy getting smashed in the shower. Now, the gang are in there just smashing him up. And they come out, but what the episode didn't show, he was whimpering in a pool of blood. And this big guy goes up to the gang and says, how come we can still hear him whimpering? Oh, we smashed him good. It's like, not good enough. And he just goes in and it's like he's trying to break this guy's head off like it's a coconut, just crack, crack, crack until he looks dead. So the body's on the floor, the guard comes in, does a security walk, lock down, everybody lock down. I go back to my cell, put my face to the window because I've never seen violence at this level before and I want to see what's going on. Is this guy dead or alive? And I see him on the stretcher and there's not just blood coming out of his head, there's yellow fluid, like brain stuff coming out of his head. Yeah. And I still have nightmares about all the violence I saw, but you know, I broke the law and it's just part of my punishment. Yeah. Yes?
Did you ever participate in any aggressive behaviour?
In prison, to join the gang and to be in the gang and to earn your tattoos and your reputation, you've got to commit acts of violence. So there's a direct incentive for people in prison to commit violence, because that's how you rise up in the gang. And to be a full member of the gang, you have to murder someone to get that tattoo. So that's, you know, there's an incentive to murder. Because I was arrested with so many people, I was able to resist the gang stuff to a large extent. Some of my bouncers were in there with me, you know, protecting me. And I was in my room, my cell, just reading and writing and trying to turn it into the educational opportunity of a lifetime. Besides, I mean, look at the size of me, you know, who am I going to beat up in the jail? I'm just not a big guy at all compared to a lot of big guys in there. So, you know, if whatever race you are, you have to go like the meetings. So like if the blacks are having a meeting, you know, you'd have to go to that meeting. The whites are having a meeting, I'd have to go to that meeting. And you get to vote on certain things, like say the leader of the whites he's been moved out of the building, and you get to vote on who's going to be the new leader of the whites and stuff like that. So I'd have to go to the meeting, because if you don't go to meetings then you're going to get smashed. These gangs, they've got guys called torpedoes under them. A torpedo is someone who'll go in with no questions asked and beat you up for the gang leader. And he'll do that just to earn his reputation and his tattoos. Yeah. Okay?
If people are getting like killed by the gangs, why are the people who do it still in that like security prison? Why aren't they higher?
Good question. If you go to my website, it's on the card, there's videos of gang members and guards murdering inmates. Now, the guy on one of the videos, he murders a guy who's refused to beat someone up for the gang. For almost 10 minutes he's smashing this guy's head into the concrete, he doesn't have a shank. 10 minutes in, the guy's still not dead. So he starts just slapping on the back of the guy's head and neck and blood just going everywhere.
Do I really want to watch that?
20 minutes in, the guy's well dead. This is, if you want to know about extreme aggression in prison, he picks the body up, brings it out right in front of the camera. This is the guard's camera. He's supposed to be watching this and stopping any trouble as it happens in the prison. And this is 20 minutes later now. So the guard doesn't notice until he brings it out right in front of the camera. Then he tries to throw it off a balcony, it gets stuck on a rail and he starts kicking it over and over again. Only then the guards notice what's going on and put this guy down. But to answer your question, he got the death penalty because it was caught on camera. Now the gangs, they know the blind spots. And they'll get you in a blind spot like the shower and that's where they'll kill you. Like the guy I described earlier, and then there'll be no repercussions.